Are you drunk yet? Shame on you. You should be drunk. So, viruses. Now, developing in computer science, that's a very low cost of entry. All you need really is a C book or some other language and a compiler, or maybe if it's an interpreted language, not even that. But just consider for a second the low cost of entry in computer science versus physics, engineering, etc. And look at biological warfare. Biological warfare is doable. It's mostly done, again, in behavior analysis and all the other stuff that goes beyond it. Not that much genetic engineering going on yet, although I'm probably off. And now the cool stuff begins. What about genetic warfare? Meaning we really understand the DNA, we really understand how all this system works. We fire up Visual Studio. We write the virus. Is that so difficult? We may still need a lab or some equipment to get something done, but it's cool. So I call this promiscuous genetic engineering, because just consider what's going on today on the internet when everybody can write a virus or some sort of malware. Everybody can download some code and change it. It's pretty cool. You're a dead crowd, or I'm not very good. So, viruses. We'll have bionic viruses, right? Because that's a computer. And we'll have genetic viruses versus biologic viruses, which are the same, but I'll make the distinction here. And we'll have cross-platform viruses. What do you think? What? They already exist, meaning you have a virus impacting your body, which immediately impacts your playing skills on World of Warcraft. Oh, different computer platforms. I'm talking about the human body and a computer. But yeah, I guess. So cross-platform viruses has been another epiphany for me, which is pretty cool. And then, a virus for every child. Everybody owns a computer, right? Everybody can download VC or something else. Well, that's pretty cool. A virus for every child, that's the new project from whatever. So, reversing the DNA. Let's fire up Perl. If we can do Visual Studio, why can't we use Perl or Python? It's a scripting language, and let me tell you two short stories some of us came up with. One of them is by... Actually, these two are by a friend of mine called Imri. So, this guy... Okay, shut up, Ilya. This guy goes to school, and he really hates the guy who sits in front of him. Because that guy is the coolest guy in school, everybody loves him. So, he gets pissed. He fires up Perl on his laptop, and gives him a tick in the eye. Nobody likes him anymore. I'm kind of simplifying, but okay. The second short story by the same guy is about a guy who likes a girl. No, isn't that simple? So, let's say he fires up Perl or something else, and okay, this guy is really, really deep. He writes the DNA directly, you know, in ASM assembly code. So he creates pheromones that will, for every girl in class, basically infect the entire school. That whenever a girl is near him, pheromones will be released, and they will immediately get aroused. So every girl in school suddenly likes him, except for the one he likes. And at the end she says, because she actually is immune for some reason, all you had to do was ask. So, this story still needs some working on, but everybody's cool. So, history of biology, right? We move from art to semi-science. I mean, physicists, basically in the early 20th century, late 19th century, said, hey, this biology is an art form that's coming along, but it really needs to be a science. So they went to biological sciences, brought their devices with them, brought the scientific methods with them, and it's pretty cool. Biology moved forward. And we should really move from semi-science to science, so we need computer science people to go and become biologists. Hey, that's actually a good idea. Did anybody ever look in all the biology classes? Only girls. There are some pluses to that. So, what do you guys call the process where DNA is basically chosen from both parents and for a soon to become baby. What's that process called? Anybody knows? What? Sorry? Well, I think, again, I'm not a biologist, that it's called this thing, which is really confusing. But let's consider gene shuffling algorithm. Nobody likes that, huh? Oh, come on, that's so cool. Never mind. I can actually show you some movies in 3D of how these genes move around and how they're chosen, really gene shuffling algorithm, but you guys are lame. And I'm running out of time. So, the DNA is just a program, but it works for, or basically if we treated the DNA as a machine, I could actually say it's a single-purpose machine. It's a single-purpose computer with a lot of if instructions along the way. But it's extremely elaborate. A ton of argument options, a ton of if statements, a ton of options for modular, pluggable things moving around. A lot of go-tos. So it's pretty complicated even if it's single purpose. Which means we really need to infuse computer science into biology. I'm not talking about informatics. I'm talking about computer scientists going and trying to reverse engineer the DNA, not just looking for genes and what they do. This can't be simple. I'm pulling it out, well, you understand the point. But we really need the reverse engineers. We need the mathematicians, maybe the cryptographers. We need to do reverse genetic engineering. Now, what about antiviruses? Now, this could be for the implants we talked about earlier. This could be for DNA or genetics, but do we do signature-based? I mean, every kid on the block is creating a new virus every second when they're bored in school studying something. So signature-based, as we know, is reactive and, of course, requires updates. So do we do the post box again, maybe email? Not so sure. Heuristics, let's not even go there. And, of course, there is anomaly detection. Do we really want to do anomaly detection in the body, the human body? Just a silly thought, and I'm missing a T over there. Is evolution going to be even possible if we stop every anomaly from happening? Just consider, how do you define a baseline for the human body? Not very clear. Now, how about a personal firewall? You attempted to move your right finger to pick your nose. Do you approve of this action? Or more simply and annoyingly, do you approve for muscle ABD2-A to move upwards? And never mind. So personal firewalls seem pretty cool to me. I don't know, but what the interface will be, that will be interesting. So, how is that personal firewall gonna work with sex? I'm not very sure. I'm not sure about that, but let's just move on. I had to say it. So, what do you know, Ilya? Okay. So, if it's your technology, you're kind of outdated. You built it for yourself because you're a Linux and, well, something new comes along and you're done. Maybe you're more protected than others because if it's not your technology, you may have vulnerabilities posted on Bugtrack for it and you'll still have to update it. Not sure if that's a good idea at all. Now, say you're sick and you want some medicine or some heart implant, I don't know, something you need. Now, if you're conscious, maybe you'll give the hospital your protection software or your code for it, your password. Well, I'm not even sure you have a password on it, but I hope you do, or something else. Now, what do? Do you die? Do you get formatted? I mean, how do they get access to you? How do they fix you? And that's, of course, if you have any protection at all. So say you give them your password. Will you ever dare to change the password knowing it is based on a program a human wrote? What if you change the password and it goes blue screen? Do you keep it the same password after it's already known to a few doctors and probably written on a few pieces of paper and thrown in the garbage? Depending on how paranoid you are. I don't know. Default passwords, backdoors, don't even want to go there. So let's create a certificate authority. we don't want to use passwords, so who has the root key and who can do the rollover? I don't know. I don't want to know. That's pretty cool. Now, do you want the government and somebody else to actually have a backdoor, to actually have the root key, so that if you come in sick to the hospital and you're unable to tell them where the password is, or if it's not embedded in somewhere in your body that somebody can sniff? I mean, what do? Would you like the government to have this? These are basic privacy issues, but what if a laptop is lost and all the information is gone with it? I don't know. So, forget password, would you dare to revoke a certificate when it's your body, not your computer? On your computer, no matter what you do and how careful you are, you will fuck up. How many of us no longer have access to some encrypted information? You! One person! That's great, okay. Sorry for you. So if it's our bodies, I would not take even that one chance. And again, what if you blue screen? This is a program. So, privacy concepts and concerns. Ethics, privacy, this is very much explored. Biologists, doctors, geneticists, they all talk about this non-stop. I can't really listen to any of these lectures because they are repetitive and haven't really changed in several decades. But there is some good science fiction out there by Neil Stephenson or John Varley. Good stuff. Other books out there, it's worth looking into if you like it. So, privacy concerns that are real. Who controls your bionic implants or your children's? How about Chastity Belt 2020? Sold now for half the price. Or say we do some cybernetic sterilization, having some generic implant in our bodies to do whatever it is we want it to do. And how about restricting people from murdering or raping? This is actual thought control happening. It could happen, I guess. And let's say we have some challenges before any of this becomes real. The implants, yeah, we're there already, I guess. Maybe. I'm not sure about the brain, but we're getting there too. But how will you actually affect body-wide DNA changes? By radiation? Maybe if you're in the 70s and you like to read science fiction, you may have some splicing machine, transporter, nanotechnology, whatever your game is. But it's likely going to be something with proteins and RNA and maybe not even atomic programming. But we should probably stick to science fiction for now, because even if one of these works, it will probably be very, very painful, if we'll even survive it. So the future is actually here. Somebody mentioned some other stuff going on earlier. There are bionic knees, and actually the guy got disqualified from the Olympics because of one. Body-embedded RFID. I look at it as pretty much the same thing, although kinda. It's a good example, though, from what might happen and will happen. Chips in eyes, as I call it, which is basically a fake retina which restores sight. I'm not sure if this is yet available for purchase, but it's out there. Just go and check the web. So, revolutions. You can look only at what's happening today, and there are revolutions every day. This is not every 1,000 years. Don't read the slides before I talk. I hate slides. I didn't want to do slides for this presentation. I want to tell a story. So, open source. How does that impact everything? Ajax or Web 2.0 or the previous bubble? Wikipedia, MySpace, IM. How do all these things impact what we just discussed? This is a world. And this is really about the potential future world. We just superimpose security on it. We look at what we know about security today and say, hey, what will happen in this future world? Not everything may happen. Some of these things may happen, some of them may never happen. But it's pretty cool for science fiction, right? And this is pretty important. We can pretty much predict any problem we want for the future with any technology or anything else you may want to put up there. But we can only solve these problems with current known solutions, or ones we invent, of course. So these are issues to keep in mind. Now, We can brainstorm a little bit further, although you guys have been pretty bad throughout all this kind of quiet.